What is up, God Gamers? In today's video, I want to explain a concept that all high elo players use to avoid a situation that you've probably been in quite a bit, which is where you get to stage 3 and you're weak and you're poor and you don't really know why. And what that concept is viewing health and gold as a fluid resource. Now, I don't want to get too technical in this video. This is kind of like an early game-esque guide, but I want to keep the focus on the concept. So I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds on like when you should econ, when you shouldn't, when you should do this, what intervals you need to do. That'll be its own separate video. And to those of you who've been watching my channel for a long time or some oldies with TFT, this is a base fundamental of the game that you've probably heard me talk about quite a bit, or have seen others talk about, or have you learned yourself. So this will be a reminder for you. But for new players, and for people new to my channel, or people who have been struggling for many sets and just not able to conceptualize how to play the early and mid game and how to manage their econ, this will be a big help to you. And that is health and econ. Health and gold are a fluid resource. So what do I mean by that? Health is a resource that you can use to generate gold. Now, how do you do that? The way that you do that is by not making a strong board, by not trying to make a strong board because you are weak. If you are weak, just be weak. That's fine. And you're going to be weak and you're not going to push levels, and that is going to preserve gold for you. You're going to lose HP, but you're exchanging it for gold. On the flip side, the purpose of gold in this game is to make you a stronger board in order to preserve HP. If your HP goes to 0, you lose the game. But if your HP is at 1, you can still win the game. So the way this most commonly plays out, and again, I don't want to get too technical, I want to keep this video pretty brief. You've probably been in a situation, and especially if you're a new player, you like to be very strong early on in the game. You like to be strong on stage 2 and just keep that strength moving on into stage 3. Maybe you roll on stage 3. I don't know if you've gotten that far yet. Or maybe you just try to go to fast stage 4 and get your 4 cost going and that sort of thing. So that's how most people play the game. And you can get caught into a big trap because this game is RNG based. So you'll run into situations where it is just not possible to be strong at all times or be strong early on in the game. If you guys have watched me play or are familiar with my play style, I like to be strong as much as I can. I love win streaking. I love punishing people for playing weak boards. I calling myself the Punisher of the weak. I like playing that way. But the reality is you cannot always play that way. And if you're weak, it's fine to just be weak. And you exchange that for gold. So the way this normally plays out is if you start out an early game and you just don't get some 2 stars and you just don't get a setup. We're watching Soju's stream right here. He's pretty decently strong. That's why he's pushing levels and that sort of thing, because he has 2 2-star backliners, and he has some core pieces that can help him build a strong comp. Maybe he has potential to streak here. He's going to lose here, but that's okay. That's not the best in the world for him, but he does still have some potential to create a strong board without having to sack a lot of econ. But a lot of games you'll be presented with a early game where you just don't have 2 stars, you're holding on a lot of pairs, and you're just like, whoa, what is happening? And so in that situation, you don't want to try to expend your gold to be strong. Now, you can hold a bunch of pairs on your bench. Again, I don't want to get too technical. We'll talk more about this another. You can hold a bunch of pairs on your bench for potential strength, and you might lose a little bit of gold doing that. And that's fine because you are holding the pieces for a strong board. Alternatively, you can just sell your pairs and just be weak. Just be weak. And just commit to being weak because you're going to create enough econ to be strong later. What you don't want to do is to be weak and to just try to force being strong. That is the biggest trap that most low elo players or new players fall into. And if you can't break out of that trap, it's going to be very difficult for you to get better at the game and to climb. And so that is worst case scenario when you have a weak early game and you're just trying to force a strong early game. So whenever this happens, your game is doomed. If you start pushing levels and you're weak, you're win-loss, you have essentially just taken the entire game out of your hand. What I mean by that is you are relying on such high level amounts of variance. Like you're completely relying on RNG rather than just playing the game and using any type of advantage. You always need to be thinking about when you're playing TFT, what advantage do I have right now? And if you don't have an advantage, you need to create one. And so what I mean by that is if you're poor in the early game, like if you're poor and weak in the early game, well, just be weak. You got to commit to one. Now, this doesn't always mean you have to 5-loss or you have to win streak every game. As I said before, if your board is decently strong and you have the pieces for a strong mid-game board, Even if you're not super strong on stage 2, that's fine. Because if you have the pieces and you're building towards something that'll be strong, you don't need a lot of gold because you have those pieces. But if you don't have pieces for a strong board, and it does not look like you're going to be winning a lot of rounds, and you're not going to commit to that comp later on in the, like, you don't think that's what you're going to be committing to on stage 3, just be weak. Just be weak. Exchange your health for gold. All right, guys, this was a little brief video. I just wanted to go over the concept. Again, I will make a more technical video that'll give you more practical things to think about, but I just wanted to implant this idea into your head to conceptualize gold and econ, or gold and health, are a resource that bounce off of each other. They're fluid. You use one to create more of the other. And as long as your health isn't 0, you'll be okay. So, and I think it's very important to not fall into this trap if you're a new player, to not always try to force a strong early game. And especially if you guys watch me play a lot, you'll see me try to be as strong as possible a lot of times. And I just don't want anybody to fall into the trap when they watch me play that you have to be strong. Because even me, someone who loves to be strong, I like to punish people. I like to just stretch my board as much as I can to punish people as much as I can for playing a weak early game. If I'm presented with a bad early game, I have to lose. I have to be weak. And so, anyways, I just wanted to go over that concept. I'll make a more technical guide in the future. Just wanted to implant that idea in your heads. Anyways, appreciate you guys. I love you all, and I love TFT.